Hello, I've just finished work and I thought I'd make a video. I haven't made a video for a while, and there's a few things I wanted to touch on. I never thought that I would see the day where the information I've known for 10 years would be available to the masses like it is now. When I was introduced to what the elites do, it was 10 years ago, and my introduction was Kathy O'Brien, Mark and Kathy O'Brien's story. And when I heard what she'd been through and what they do, I made a promise I'd never ever share it, because I thought it was just too detrimental. It was just too hard for people to know. Never would I have thought in my lifetime that the masses would know the extent and the lengths that the elites go through and the rituals that they do and things like this. And I'm not going to talk about them here. My point is that we're all traumatized. And there's a reason that we know it. If you know this information, on some level, we need to ask for forgiveness for it, because it's coming into our awareness. I ask for forgiveness every day if I've ever took part in anything like this. And it's traumatizing. It's traumatized me. I have a spiritual practice. I can see compassion in those that are creating the suffering. I don't have any hatred for them at all, but when I still hear the information, it still makes me cry. It still pains my heart, makes me sick to my stomach. When you look at what the Wilson sign is, the Wilson ball in Castaway, why they all wear this symbol. I'm not going to share what it is here, but it's beyond imagination, and that's why a lot of people can't fathom what it is. So on some level, when we hear this information, we're all suffering from some form of PTSD. But the reason for this video was to not go down that road. I thought it was important, because I had a great conversation with a good friend of mine today who's very smart, intelligent young man, and we were talking about how to listen to some of these other videos from other people and how to get the information, the best information from it. Because another good friend of mine sent me a message the other day saying, a few days ago, saying, it turns out the Dalai Lama is not so holy. Okay, so I watched the video and it's from Charlie Freak. I have a lot of respect for Charlie Freak, and I like Charlie Freak. And I'm also not here to support the Dalai Lama. I'm not trying to defend anybody. I'm not, I'm not here to do that. I'm not a Buddhist. I'm not a Taoist. I'm not a Christian. I'm not tied to any religion. But when I watched the video, Charlie Freak is a good man. I think he's got a good heart. And he's doing a great contribution, but he, as my friend pointed out, he speaks in absolute terms, which is, as my friend pointed out today, is always a telltale sign that you can't speak in absolutes. If you speak in an absolute fact, that means that you've eliminated every other possibility, which is just not the case with anybody who speaks in absolute certainties. But you can tell that Charlie Freak's traumatized too. In one of his videos, he's talking about when you find out what the elites do, you're going to want to rip them limb from limb. I understand his passion, but that's the same. No human being would get any joy from watching the worst of humanity, who have done the worst things to people. You still wouldn't enjoy watching them getting killed. and getting ripped limb from limb, that's still a traumatized post-traumatic stress response. And no one ever got happy from watching somebody else suffer. Does justice need to come? Absolutely. Okay, absolutely. Do they need whatever happens to them, that's their karma. Okay, but I wouldn't rip them limb from limb. I had another guy, my friend back in England, and he asked me a question. He said, Nick, if you had the chance to kill Bill Gates, would you take that opportunity? And I said, no, because Bill Gates is just a face that's leading that agenda. And if he was to die, it would still carry on. Okay, it would still carry on. And I don't believe that violence is the way out of this. I really don't. You might think I'm wrong. That's fair enough. Totally. I'm not saying I'm right. I just wouldn't do it. Okay. In this video with the Dalai Lama, for example, I was waiting to see if there's evidence that the Dalai Lama has done something bad. Okay. And in the video, he calls the Dalai Lama a lying bastard or a lying piece of shit or something like this, Charlie Freak, which is very aggressive. And the Dalai Lama is getting blamed and getting tied into all this because he's taken a donation from these a foundation which is run by these elites of $2 million. And he praises them because they're getting told they're doing all this humanitarian work and they're doing incredibly bad things. And he's praising them, okay? He's giving them this, like, I don't know what it is. He's some type of blessing. He's got like a white robe on or something like that. Now, my point with that is if Charlie Freak, for example, had no idea what these people did, he didn't know the information he knew. He got told that they were good people, and they offered him $2 million donation because he looks after all these animals. He does a lot of selfless work. Charlie Freak's beautiful. Him and his wife seem like beautiful, beautiful people. He'd take it. He'd take it, and what he'd do with it, he'd put it to good use. He'd have more facility, he'd have more food for his animals, probably buy a bigger property. And because fundamentally, when you look at Amma, when you look at the Dalai Lama, they're detached from money, but they take donations and put it to good use. So, you know, I'm not buying into the fact that the Dalai Lama is a bad guy because he took a donation from bad people that he didn't necessarily know about. Now, when you're a spiritual being, you say they should know with their spiritual channels or whatever like that. Again, I'm not making excuses for him, but I'm still on the fence with that because we've all done bad things. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. We've all have bad thoughts. You know what I mean? Even, you know, good people have bad thoughts still. So even on when the higher you go spiritually as well, the more detached you become. You're just there as a vessel to serve. Okay? So my point for this video is I'm not trying to take sides with anybody. I'm just saying we're so traumatized that we've been lied to since birth. Okay? Our churches, our medical systems, our politicians, our teachers in school, we've been lied to, so we don't know who to trust. And we should only be trusting ourselves. We should learn how to truly trust ourselves. But if you don't trust yourself, you won't trust anybody. And if you don't know how to read messages, like I can watch a video from Charlie Freak and enjoy it. He's got a lot of information. But we have to learn how to watch information, be detached from it. No emotional attachment to it whatsoever. And take what resonates with us and drop what doesn't. If something is aggressive and it gets you pumped, the chances are it's boosting your ego. Because it's a spiritual practice to deepen your compassion, to be able to see somebody creating huge suffering and be able to see the suffering of both people. Because another teaching Charlie Freak gave, and I'm a fan of Charlie Freak, by the way, I like his work, but he definitely misunderstood the teaching. He gave a teaching on karma and how the elites see karma. I'm not going to go into it here because it was fascinating how they see it, and I can believe that. But he also said, in absolutes, that the way the Vedas and the way Buddhists explain karma, is wrong. And once you're a human, you can't go back down consciously. That is not true. It doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even make sense logically speaking, because the universe has its own, or should I say nature. Nature has its own intelligence that creates and governs everything. So when you look at nature, you're looking at the truth, and it works in harmony, naturally speaking. So if I am going to create huge suffering in the world, the chances are I'm going to experience that, either in this life or in a future life. Why? Because that's life showing me what I've done. You with me? If you are flourishing in your finances, everything you touch turns to gold. You've probably helped people out, created a lot of financial freedom for people in this life or past lives. If you're having struggle with your relationships, you've obviously created challenges in people's relationships. This is not a bad thing. This is how life says this is what you need to heal. And if we can stop being victims and saying, why me, to life, we can actually then start saying, thank you for this. Thank you for showing me what I need to heal, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically. So to wish these people who are creating huge suffering, if you to wish them great harm, is the same consciousness that's created their harm. Okay? We have to understand that they're going to suffer. They could reincarnate back into these families, but they're going to reincarnate as the people who these families are torturing and suffering. Okay? And I also want to share something. When we're looking at spiritual beings, okay, in a number of traditions, okay, in Hinduism, in Buddhism, the Buddha said this, in a number of traditions, if you badmouth a genuine enlightened being, or a genuine spreader, practitioner and teacher of the Dharma, the universal laws and principles, if you badmouth them and damage their reputation, it is the worst karma. Buddha said it's worse karma than killing your parents. And this makes sense, because the true beings in the world that are sharing positive messages and are living the teaching, or who are enlightened, for example, their teaching is the salvation for anyone that's suffering in the world. So if somebody's on a path where they're creating more karma and they can't find light, and they may find light in that teacher's teaching, and you put them off that, it's huge. You're damaging their opportunity for growth. So we shouldn't really we should never slander somebody who's on the path teaching the universal truths of love, peace, forgiveness, harmony, and things like that. My Buddhist teacher said to me, I have a Buddhist teacher, but I'm not Buddhist, okay? But my Buddhist teacher said to me, one way to observe a master is their face. And this is beautiful. I've tested this. And she said, even when you do a lot of spiritual practice, your face will change. Your face will soften, and you'll look kinder. Now, if you look at genuine spiritual beings, they have a kind face. If you look at some of these elites who are lost, who are doing what they do, they don't have that. Okay, some of them might look beautiful on the outside, but there's a presence to them that looks bankrupt, spiritually bankrupt, or they have to use all this Botox and all whatever you to try and look beautiful. But they're lacking something. They're lacking a kindness. Okay, so when you look at a kind face in a spiritual being, it's because they're kind on the inside. It doesn't mean they're handsome or beautiful. It's just that they're beautiful because they're kind. They've got a kind heart. So this is another good gauge to see whether somebody is a genuine practitioner. when you're observing, don't just watch a video and that's it, okay? I like this guy, so everything he said, and this is for me as well, okay? Definitely, the one advice I can give you is don't believe everything I say. I don't want to influence anyone in any way. Yeah, I'm not here to influence anybody in any way. I don't want to entangle anymore. But if I didn't address it, if I didn't just put it out there, then maybe I'm not saving it. I'm just sharing wisdom that I've been told that makes sense to me. We're here to create love, peace, and coherence and universal harmony. Stick to that. The Tao Te Ching says the same thing. There's always a formal executioner. There's a role in the cosmos for that. You don't have to do that. Okay? If somebody hates you and you say, I'm going to get them back and I'm going to kill them, you're not gonna, if someone killed your kid, I'm going to kill them, doesn't bring your kid back, for example. And I'm telling you, I've seen traumatic things in my past. I've seen people unconscious getting hit in the face with glass bottles. It's not nice. It plays with you for the rest of your life. You know, I'll share a personal story. My mum and dad's house got broken into, and someone told me who it was when I was younger. And the person who I got told who it was walking past my mum and dad's house a few days later. I chased after him. I knocked him out, knocked him unconscious. I kicked him, and he wet himself, right? And I ran home. I ran back to the house, and I'll never forget it. My mum was standing at the end of the garden, praying, please wake up to this guy. And he got up, and it haunts me, because I remember looking at him, and you know, I was young and I had that mindset of he'd robbed my mum's house and that's what he deserves. I remember looking at him, and the way he got up, he looked so sad. He was a drug addict, and when he looked at him down and he staggered off, I just felt like for him it was just another day, and this is just my life. This is what happens. And it bothered me back then, even when I was a lot different than I am now. But now, it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. I apologize to his soul all the time, because I didn't know for a fact that it was him. And he could be dead now. He could be dead and suffering in samsara. I'm entangled in his karma as well. And I could have helped him. I could have gone and spoke to him and been more of a man and tried to see what he's going through. And who knows, he could have gone on the straight and narrow and helped a lot of people. But I took the coward's way and I beat him up. And I have got to live with that. And it's not nice. It's not nice. It's traumatic. And there's too much trauma in the world. There's too many people up in the head, reacting through trauma, violence, watching videos. And I've been doing this, by the way. I've been sharing things that could make people do that, so I apologize. I'm going to delete them all. There's a way to share it. And I think when we watch something and we just, yes, this person's right, I like the way he speaks, it doesn't mean he's right. It doesn't mean I'm right. None of us. The problem with humanity is everybody's right. And that's wrong. Every single human being is right. The mind, the ego can justify anything we do. So please choose love when you watch anything first. And if the message is coming across as not in love, drop it. I love you all. Take care. Bye-bye.